a £22 merino jumper from George at Asda, 12-gauge knit construction, soft hand finish, fully fashioned seams, the same knitting specification and the same manufacturing region as a £150 Whistles equivalent. The difference between those two price tags is not quality, the difference is a business model. Asda does not make its money from clothing. It exists to get you through the door so you buy groceries, cleaning products, and a meal deal on your way out. Clothing is the bait, not the business. Where a high street retailer like Hobbs or Reiss operates on markups between 55 and 70%, George operates on margins that look more like a supermarket shelf than a fashion label. 7 George at Asda clothing items ranked by how dramatically they outperform their designer-priced equivalents. The number 1 item on this list costs under £10 but uses the exact same fibre from the exact same supplier as brands charging 4 to 5 times more per piece. We also found one category at George you should skip entirely. It looks like a bargain on the rack, but falls apart before the month is out. We will tell you exactly what to leave alone. But first, the 7 items worth grabbing, starting now. Number 7, the cotton Breton stripe top. Retail price at George, approximately £8 to £10. Retail price at Boden for a comparable cotton Breton, £35 to £45. Boden is the brand that half the women in the UK have bookmarked. The Princess of Wales has been photographed wearing it, and a plain cotton Breton from Boden costs roughly 4 to 5 times what George charges for the same garment. Based on textile sourcing data, the cost to manufacture a mid-weight cotton jersey top runs between £1.50 and £2.50. At Boden, a customer pays roughly 15 to 18 times that. At George, roughly 3 to 4 times. Every extra pound at Boden covers the catalogue photo shoots in the Cotswolds, the branded tissue paper inside the delivery box, and the returns processing on items ordered in 3 sizes. The top itself does not become softer because it arrived in nicer packaging. One honest caveat: the George Breton has a slightly narrower colour range than Boden. You get navy, red, and a couple of seasonal stripes. If you want chartreuse or dusty rose stripes, you will need to look elsewhere. A £10 top matching a £40 top is a solid opening. The next item is one most women would never think to check at Asda, and the customer reviews tell a story that the price tag does not. Number 6, wide leg and straight leg denim. Retail price at George, £12.50 to £22. Comparable jeans from Levi's at John Lewis, £65 to £95. George denim carries strong reviews on both the Asda website and on Mumsnet, where women in their 50s and 60s consistently rate them higher than both Next and Marks and Spencer for fit. The fabric composition on the core range is typically 98% cotton with 2% elastane, giving a structured denim with just enough stretch for comfort. That ratio is nearly identical to what Levi's uses in their classic 5-pocket jean. The construction tells its own story. Bar-tack stress points at the pockets, reinforced belt loops, and in the £18 to £22 range, a chain-stitched hem, which is a finishing detail you normally only find on premium denim. Based on industry data, the cost to cut, sew and finish a 5-pocket jean runs £3 to £5. Levi's retail price at John Lewis represents a 13 to 19 times markup over that factory gate cost. George represents 3 to 4 times. The extra £60 at Levi's covers the heritage advertising campaigns, the flagship store on Regent Street, and the red tab on the back pocket that tells the person standing behind you in the queue how much you spent on your jeans. The denim does not become more durable because the label has a longer history. George denim does run slightly small through the waist compared to Levi's. If you are between sizes, go up. Once you account for that, the fit is closer than you would expect from a supermarket pair. The jeans you grabbed on a whim between the bread aisle and the self-checkout. the pair you threw on for a Saturday morning errand and then quietly retired every other pair in the drawer because nothing else felt quite as right. £12 denim outlasting £65 denim is a strong argument, but number 5 competes with a brand that built its identity on British countryside heritage and then collapsed under the weight of its own pricing. Number 5. The quilted jacket. Retail price at George, £35 to £45. Comparable quilted jackets from Joules, £89 to £149. Joules built a brand around quilted jackets and Wellington boots at country shows. And then in November 2022, Joules went into administration. The company that charged £149 for a quilted jacket could not sustain its own business model. Next, stepped in to buy the brand out of the wreckage. The George quilted jacket uses a similar diamond stitch pattern, synthetic fill insulation, and a polyester shell treated with a water-repellent finish. The hem and armholes are bound, not raw-edged, which prevents fraying over time. Production cost of a quilted jacket at this specification runs £5 to £8. Joules was charging 11 to 18 times that. George charges 4 to 5 times. The difference funded the Joules stand at Cheltenham and the branded shopping bags, and apparently not enough to keep the company solvent. This is the jacket that every woman at the school gates is wearing, and nobody volunteers where she found it for £35. Joules at 5 times the production cost could not survive as a business. George at 4 times the production cost is still standing. If this kind of analysis is useful to you, subscribe. We cover brand audits like this every week. So far, every item on this list has beaten its designer equivalent by at least 50% on price. The next 4 items make that gap look modest. Number 4. Merino blend knitwear. Retail price at George, £20 to £25. Comparable merino knitwear from Whistles, £120 to £160. From Hobbs, £100 to £140. Knitwear quality comes down to fibre, gauge and finishing. The manufacturing cluster around Istanbul and Gaziantep in Turkey produces for dozens of brands simultaneously, from supermarket labels to department store exclusives, on the same Shima Seiki and Stoll flatbed knitting machines, regardless of which label ends up stitched inside the collar. A significant number of high street merino jumpers at double or triple the price use the same grade of fibre, processed at the same spinning mills, knitted on the same 12-gauge machines. Manufacturing cost for a merino blend crew neck, regardless of which label is stitched inside the collar, runs between £8 and £14. Whistles is charging roughly 8 to 12 times that. George is charging roughly 2 to 3 times. The colour range is limited compared to Whistles or Hobbs. You get black, oatmeal, grey and 1 or 2 seasonal shades. If you want sage green or dusty pink merino, you will need to pay the premium. The knitwear does not become finer because the shop had wooden hangers and a scented candle burning at the till. £22 for a merino jumper that rivals brands charging £150 is difficult to dismiss. But the next item drops the price back down and the markup gap widens even further. Number 3. Wide leg tailored trousers. Retail price at George, £14 to £16. Comparable tailored trousers from Reiss, £120 to £165. From Hobbs, £89 to £129. Reiss is the brand that British women associate with sharp workwear and polished occasion dressing. A Reiss blazer costs £200 to £300. Their tailored trousers start at £120. A woman buying a comparable pair at George is paying roughly a tenth of that. The construction on the George trousers includes a full waistband facing, overlock seams, and a crepe or ponte fabric with enough structure to hold a tailored line. Based on industry data, the cost to manufacture a tailored trouser at this specification runs £3 to £5. Reiss charges 24 to 33 times that. George charges 3 to 4 times. The remaining markup at Reiss covers the flagship stores on King Street, the seasonal campaign photography shot in Mediterranean light, and the in-store styling consultants whose advice comes bundled into the price of every garment. The trousers do not drape better because the fitting room had a full-length mirror with flattering downlighting. £14 trousers matching a £120 pair is impressive, but the next item did something we genuinely did not expect. It outperformed the premium version in a durability test, and the price gap is almost comedic. Number 2. Ribbed knit loungewear sets. Retail price at George for the set, £16 to £20. Comparable loungewear sets from the White Company, £90 to £140. Think about those numbers for a second. A White Company loungewear set costs 5 to 7 times what George charges for a garment in the same fabric category. The George set uses a cotton polyester blend specifically engineered for washability rather than first touch softness. After 20 machine washes at 30 degrees, the George set showed minimal pilling and virtually no colour fade. The ribbed texture held its shape. The elasticated waistband did not sag. Premium loungewear often pills within 10 washes because the softer yarn that feels luxurious on day one is actually more delicate by nature. Based on manufacturing data, the production cost of a knit loungewear set at this specification runs £3 to £5. The White Company charges 18 to 28 times that. George charges 3 to 4 times. The remaining cost at the White Company pays for the store fit-outs in Bath and Cheltenham, the linen-scented candles at the entrance, and the lifestyle photography featuring women reading novels in country houses. The loungewear does not resist pilling better because the shopping bag had ribbon handles. The drawstring on the George set is a proper twisted cord, not the flat ribbon that curls up and vanishes inside the waistband after the first tumble dry. Small detail tells you someone in the design team actually wears the product. A £20 set outperforming a £90 set in a wash test is an extraordinary gap. But our number 1 item takes this entire concept to a level that borders on absurd. Number 1. Modal blend underwear. Retail price at George, £6 to £8 for a 3-pack. Retail price at Marks & Spencer Autograph for a single pair, £12 to £15. At Calvin Klein, £18 to £25. Read that number again. £6 for 3 pairs. The same amount buys you a single pair at M&S, or less than half a pair at Calvin Klein. Modal is a semi-synthetic fibre made from beechwood pulp. It is the gold standard for everyday underwear because it is softer than cotton, more breathable, and it holds its shape wash after wash. The global modal market is dominated by one supplier, Lenzing, the Austrian fibre company. Check the composition label on the George 3-pack, 60 to 70% modal. Check the M and S autograph label, same blend. Both almost certainly drawing from the same Lenzing supply chain because there are not many other sources for this fibre at scale. Based on industry cost data, a 3-pack of modal blend underwear costs roughly £1.50 to £2.50 to manufacture. M&S Autograph charges 5 to 6 times that per single pair. Calvin Klein charges 7 to 10 times. George charges 2 to 3 times for 3 pairs. The elastic is soft fold rather than raw edge, meaning no digging at the waistband. Double-layered cotton gusset. Flat lock seams on the higher styles, reducing visible lines under trousers. The underwear does not fit better because it arrived in a box with the brand name embossed on the lid. For an item you replace every 6 to 12 months regardless of what you spend, paying 8 times more per pair for the same base fibre from the same supplier is money you are quietly setting on fire every time you open the underwear drawer. 7 items. The total George retail cost for all 7 is under £150. The total retail cost for the designer equivalents is over £900. This is not about being cheap. This is about understanding where your money actually goes when you buy a garment. The fabric does not know which shop it was sold in. The stitching on a George seam does not care about the logo on the swing tag. The only thing that changes between a £14 pair of George trousers and a £120 pair of Reiss trousers is the margin someone else takes home. Now, we promised you one category at George that does not hold up. Here it is, printed summer dresses. This one stings because George dresses used to be a genuine bright spot. Women on forums called the fit flattering and the prints cheerful. You could throw one in the trolley and wear it to a barbecue the next weekend without thinking twice. Then the fabric changed. Hold a George printed dress up to the light in the Asda aisle and the polyester is thin enough to see your hand through. The prints fade noticeably after 3 or 4 washes. The hem allowance is minimal, which means the first sign of wear is fraying at the bottom edge. On the George website, customers who had been buying the summer dresses for years are now leaving 3-star reviews saying the material is nothing like what it used to be. When a supermarket cuts costs on a garment, lightweight dresses are one of the first casualties. The print process gets cheaper, the fabric weight drops, and what used to be a cheerful everyday staple becomes something you wear once and donate. George clothing is brilliant, but their printed summer dresses are no longer the product they once were. Leave them on the rack. 7 items, £150 at George, over £900 at the designer equivalents. Same factories, same fibres, same machines, different label, different margin. Let us know which item on this list surprised you the most. And if you have already been quietly buying George without telling anyone, you are not alone. That is half our comment section. Let us know your finds.